All right. Welcome to the Invested Agents podcast. Yesterday, I talked about the very first deal that I ever did. It was amazing because after 4 months of just knocking on doors and getting a lot of people yelling at us and slamming their doors in our face or just completely ignoring us when they had the door wide open and we could see them, just pretending like we weren't there. We got our first deal. That was a wholesale deal. We actually closed on it and then ended up selling it to another investor afterwards. So got that deal, which was not only, it was invaluable experience because now I knew how to do the marketing. I knew how to do the hustle and the grind, like actually getting out there, knocking on doors, talking with sellers. And now I knew how to actually acquire and dispose of them because that was a JV deal with our mentor. And now I've got my credit card paid off. Remember, I don't have a job at this point. I've got my credit card paid off and I'm ready to get there and do another one. I'm like, holy cow, this stuff works. Like if this works, maybe I'll be a millionaire before I ever graduate. And so we're continuously doing this, going back every weekend, knocking on doors, or at least whenever we didn't have other commitments. And during that Christmas break, go back. So this is Christmas break of my senior year, I believe, and go back and look at. So I'm from Waco, Texas. Looked at the pre-foreclosure list and the code compliance or city's code violation list in Waco, Texas, and start sending out mailers, and I get a response back from someone he lives in Dallas, but he's got a property in Houston or in Waco, and he's like, yeah, he goes, I'm the executor of this estate, and I've got a house I got to sell. It's in Waco. He was not family of the estate. He was a friend of the person that died, and he was just in charge of disposing of it. He was in Dallas. He had no interest in really coming down and dealing with it, and I think that had actually been on his plate for a while. So he managed to get us access. We go in, look at this house. It's a tiny little house on North, I think it was like 32nd Street of Waco. Not like the best part of Waco, but not the worst part either. So end up going to this house, and it needs a lot of work. Like it is a dive, and it had pretty significant foundation damage. I think it was pier and beam. I'm pretty sure it was, going back from memories. We didn't really take a lot of pictures because I didn't have iPhones back then to take pictures wherever I went. Yeah, you had to actually lug around that big extra camera. So anyway, we were working with this seller, and like we were trying to get it for just dirt cheap. I want to back up is how I got this deal. I mentioned it was on the code compliance list, but here's one of the kickers. So the reason why it was on the code compliance list was it was a dangerous property. It was actually on the demolition list, but it never should have been on that list because the dangerous structure that was supposed to be demolished was the shed. There was the shed on the side of on the back side of the house, and it had been leaning, falling over, and it had already been demolished. I don't recall if the city did it and billed the owner or if the owner got it taken care of himself, but that structure had already been demolished. The property should have been removed from the list, but it wasn't. Thank you, city workers, for being slow at your job. And so it worked out for me because we were able to get this. We got that lead, got in touch with the seller. Now we're negotiating to get this deal. I think we were trying to get this house for like $5,000. I don't remember what it was worth. It definitely was sub 100, but it needed quite a bit of work. And so we were trying to get this house for like dirt cheap. Ultimately settled on about $10,000. So we're gonna buy this house for $10,000. Try doing that today. And now we're like, what do we do with it? So this is a house, we didn't want to do a JV on this one. Our mentor's in San Antonio, this is Waco, and we're like, hey, maybe we can just do it ourselves. Let's close on ourselves, but we don't know any private lenders. So I actually managed to get a private lender lined up. It was such a small price. They, I think, felt comfortable with the deal at that price. And we're like, cool. So the pressure was now off our back on trying to like wholesale it, which I didn't really even know what wholesaling was. I don't think that term, or at least that strategy, was taught in the class I went. Maybe it was, but mainly he was teaching getting private lenders to secure it so you can actually get your deal under contract and then and close on it and then sell it afterwards. So now I've got this house and we're marketing it. We've got a private lender in place and we're marketing it toward to sell in like the classified ads, and I think we even took out a little newspaper ad, and like there was no Facebook groups, there was no Craigslist back then. We're doing whatever we can to get the word out. We put out a bandit sign in the front yard, these like used car sales streamers all across it, bandit signs around the neighborhood to get this house sold, and we're getting a lot of calls. And we finally get a hold of this one buyer, but he's a little skittish, and we just want to, like, this is our first deal by ourselves. We just want to get out of it, make a good profit, and call it a win. And I think we were trying to get $25,000, which would have been a $15,000 profit. Huge deal for us. And we thought it would be still a good deal for them, but they were really concerned about the foundation and all the other work that was going to go on to it. Ultimately, they were lowballing us. Like, it was something like $13,000 or so. And we ended up, when it came down to it, we said, hey, let's just split the difference. Chris Foss, I know you wouldn't like to hear that. We're like, let's just split the difference. And we settled on like $17,000. So, but we ended up signing the contract and never having to use our private lender to get this house sold. So I was pretty naive, and I'm not like saying this is what you should do and go out there not really knowing what you're doing, because that can get you in trouble. I was just fortunate that things worked out, and I was willing to hustle and learn as much as I could. But ultimately, what happened is the seller the seller got paid at closing the same day I paid. So it was a wholesale deal. By definition, because when we went to the table, the the buyer's proceeds ended up paying the seller. It was not a double close because we didn't bring any funds at the table. Essentially, it was an assignment of contract. So that was our second deal, first wholesale deal ever. We don't do a lot of wholesaling today, or really we don't hardly do any, or virtually no wholesaling today. We do like to close on deals so we can actually do whatever else we're going to do to it and then get it sold. Or we'll just JV with our end buyers whenever we're selling property. So that was the first wholesale deal. Like, comment, share, appreciate it.